Where do you go when it all goes wrong? Where do you run when you run too far? How do you breathe in a world so cold? How do you sleep when the tears still fall? How do you speak when it hurts inside? Or get back on your feet when you were left behind? How do you live a broken life? Face another day while screaming inside. And my king self, he's the answer, my king self. He is the way in my king self. There is no other, my king self. He gave his life just for mine. And why do you seek what you never find? Searching for things that fade with time. What do you see in the storms of life? Do you see hope, or are you still blind? And my king self, he's the answer, my king self. He is the way in my king self. There is no other, my king self. He gave his life just for mine. What can wash away my sin? What can make me whole again? My king self, he is the answer, my king self. He is the way in my king self. There is no other, my king self. He gave his life just for king self. He is the answer, my king self. He is the way in my king self. There is no other, my king self. He gave his life just for mine. He's the answer. He's the way. There is no other. He gave his life just for mine.
start over again. That was 3 days under with Mike King, and I'd like to thank Patrick and Robin and Jamie for allowing us to play that song and to say thank you to them for everything they mean to not only to the page but to me and Amy personally. What great friends we have, and what what a blessing it is to know folks like that. Um, Usually, I start off and tell you what's going on around the community, around our church, and so forth. But and I even made banners tonight to be able to share that. Um, so let's go to it real fast. Joel Jackson being concert at Community Fellowship Church in Corden, Indiana, March 14th. You could see all the details either on the church Facebook page, which I ask you guys to follow, or here on the Pray for America page. There's also an event. Uh, Within the event, um, we're having a meet and greet with pizza at 5 p.m. with Joel for the youth and young adults. It doesn't have to be just our church. Any youth, any young adults, and you get classified as young or old or however you feel. But we're going to be there at 5 o'clock and have some pizza from 8th Street Pizza. I'd like to thank them. My God, Jeffrey has stepped up to the plate, guys. I'd like to thank them along with WayFM, Warren Printing, and God's Earthly Creations for making this night completely possible and in making this night completely free for you. Um, I made a statement one day a couple of years ago, and I stand by it. The love of Christ and what He did for us on the cross is totally free, and so anything with our name attached to it will be free for the public. Although there is cost involved, they'll be free to walk in our doors at the church, anywhere we're at, to hear about the love of Christ. So bring your friends, bring your family, bring a few enemies if you like. That night we're going to celebrate and worship Jesus. Um, the following weekend, Level Ground, March 22nd, at the gathering at 109 West Poplar Street, will be doing their annual Light the Night. We will be there, of course, with our glow sticks and whatnot. We're going to have a blast that night as well. So, with that, any comments or questions, feel free to, put them in the comments. Obviously, if you're watching this and want to say hello, we appreciate it. We see the number, but we don't see who. And so, if you say hello or something, we'd appreciate that. A lot of you know we lost our pastor January 31st, and no, it's a shock when you deal with that. You go through with that. And as a public service announcement, my coffee cup is about empty. But as we gather as a church and as we gather as individuals, we grieve, we hurt. And might I say, sometimes we're angry. Might I also say, sometimes we don't know what to feel or what to do. And my wife's looking at me. Yeah, my coffee cup's empty. Did you hear that? Come get it if you don't mind. As we pass off the coffee cup, but we've been silent on the page for a few days because I've been really wanting to been really studying, been really meditating. It's like, you know, my fast has been away from social media, away from Facebook. Yeah, I looked at my personal pages. I've been paying attention to the page. I've been paying attention to the church, paying attention to the church page. But my prayer time has been my prayer time. And I just didn't know exactly where we were going. I mean, I'll be honest with you. You know, when you lose your friend, when you lose your a family member, whatever, you don't know what's ahead, and so you tend to clam up. You tend to um, get to yourself, and sometimes you reflect and you pray, and sometimes you say, "I don't need God. I can do this on my own." And dare I say, some of us in our tragedies, in our thoughts, in our trials in life, in our storms in life, we do just that. We shut God out. And I was really, I at work, go through my phone through TikTok and through Facebook Reels and YouTubes and stuff, and Joel has been releasing music, and I've been listening to that, and I've been listening to different things. But I heard something the other night in Matthew 14:22 through 23, in Mark 6:45 through 52, and in John 6:16 through 21 is a story of Jesus walking on the water. Now, we all know the 4-year-old Sunday school version of that story. Jesus walked on water. But what does it mean? What's the I, what does it mean? I'm trying to reach my coffee and I'm knocking my lights over and stuff. Give me a second. Give me a fresh cup of coffee and my Pray for America cup. You can get yours at anchormerchandising.com/Pray for America. And we're giving 2 away September 25th. Well, I'm sorry, March 14th. I'm thinking September 25th because it's last year. But what is the story behind that? What is the meaning behind that? How many of us have storms in our life? I do. I do. How many of us tend to want to take things on ourselves? We 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 don't verbally say it, but we mean it. We project it. We forget God and we do it ourselves. And the storm gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and regardless of what it is, maybe car payments are late and you're trying to catch up. Maybe something is wrong and you're trying to deal with it yourself. Chris Robinson, a very dear friend of mine, the producer, the writer, director, whatever you want to call him, the jack of all trades of Jackson's Run, America's Prayer. He was in the video with us on the Because of This Moment. He played the homeless man in Because of This Moment that went around telling people about Christ. Anyway, he had an infection in his body and he lost his foot. Then he lost half his leg. And then he lost his leg. My friends, I want you to think about something. Losing your leg, losing your ability to walk, losing your ability to run, losing your ability of bending over and picking up your kids or your grandkids, losing the ability of holding your wife's hand and walking down the street. He lost that. But what does he say? What does he do? And what does his actions point out? That I will praise you in this storm. So Jesus feeds the 5,000 people. And usually Jesus goes on ahead and gets away from the crowd, and the disciples disperses them. But this day, Jesus tells his disciples, go on ahead of me, go across the lake. I'll catch up with you. I'm just going to stay here and disperse the crowd. And I'm going to go on the side of the mountain. I'm going to pray. How did the disciples think Jesus was going to get to the other side? I mean, the only reason he chose Peter, I believe, is because he had a boat. So why did Jesus tell his disciples, I meet you on the other side? When they were taking the boat, how was he going to get there? I'll see you guys in the morning. I'm going to stay here and pray. Go ahead and take the only form of transportation we have and go across the lake. I will see you in the morning. How do they know that he was going to be there? That night when they was rowing across the lake, a bad storm came up. If you Google Galilee Lake of Galilee, and you look at the storms and stuff, how it's created, and meteorologists will tell you this, because there's storms, because the mountains and the hills are all around the lake. Storms come in, they go into the valley. How many times we see storms that come off the mountains and go into the valley? They're worse in the valley. A bad storm came up that night, bad winds. Amy and I are fortunate enough to lived in North Carolina all of our life. We were blessed enough to go through a couple of hurricanes. We were blessed enough to lose our roofs, lose our houses. We were blessed enough to see, and I say blessed because what a blessing it was, because if you look back at what we went through and where we're at now, we know the effects of storms. And as we sit there and we look at this storm, these storms that we've gone through in the past, and the storms that we see on TV and so forth, and the floods, and they come up, and it's just devastating. And they say that on this lake, storms come up like storms of hurricanes, like the winds of hurricanes, and they cause waves, and they cause waves, and they cause wind, and the waves that night were crashing over the boat. And I'm probably going to go on a limb here and quote the Bible and say that they were scared. How many times in our life are we scared? How many times in our life are we saying, "Oh man, I can't handle this anymore"? Those disciples that night were the same way. When we lost our pastor, the first thing we said was, "What are we going to do now?" And as Stacy from our church says, we're in uncharted territory, but thank God Jesus Christ isn't. And so as Jesus is walking across that lake, he finishes his praying, and 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, he decides to go on to the other side. He knew where his disciples were. They were in the midst of a storm. And Jesus goes tooling across the lake. He goes walking across the lake. His feet ain't getting wet. He's just walking across the lake. And the disciples in the midst of their storm says, "Look, it's a ghost." And Jesus says, "No, it's me. Hey guys, it's just me." As he's walking across the storm. And Peter says, "If you're God, if you're who you say you are, let me get out there." Come on. They just saw him feed 5,000 people the day before. And now they still don't believe. They still don't know. See, Jesus has done everything for us. And sometimes we still don't know. We still don't believe. But when Peter stepped out that boat and he kept his eyes on Christ, he kept his faith in him and his eyes on him, he walked across the water and he walked with Jesus. But as soon as he got a distraction, as soon as he saw the waves crashing, he lost his faith and he began to sink. How many times do we begin to sink because we lose our focus? Dare I say this? The fourth, the 4-year-old Bible story says Jesus walked on water. If you look at the story, dare I say, Jesus walked above the storm. He called Peter in the midst of a storm. And Peter, as long as his eyes were on him and his faith was in him, he walked above the storm. What are you going to do? Are you going to walk above your storm? He don't. Jesus doesn't say, "Come unto me, and I will make things smooth. Trust in me, and I'll make it easy." He said, "Trust in me, and I'll carry you through. I'll be beside you. Trust in me, and I will go to the storm with you. I will go to the battles with you. I will fight your battles. Just go with me and give me your problems. Just go with me and keep your faith in me. Worship me, love me, and I'll take care of the rest." A few months ago, a couple years ago now, when I quit my job, that sounds funny to say I quit a job, but I quit my job with nothing to go to. I broke the cardinal sins. Don't quit a job unless you have one. I was always taught that. But I came home and looked at my wife and I said, "Sweetie, I done something today, and I need to let you know what I done." And she says, "What?" She was expecting me to say something like, "I stopped by Walmart, bought a new computer. I stopped by, I bought a new car." Um, I could have told her anything, and she would have believed me, because that's just how crazy I am. But what I told her was not what she was expecting. I quit my job. Not only did I quit it, but I have nothing to go back on. Man, sometimes we're like put in the middle of a storm. I created one. And for 8 weeks, it was tough, but I trusted God. He carried us through that storm. And she will tell you, I mean, she will tell you to your face, she'll tell you on here that, yeah, it was a struggle, but we're better off today than we were making the money. Because you see, Christ not only carried us through it, he continues to be with us. He continues to walk with us. And I don't go anywhere. You heard me say this 1,000 times. We do not go anywhere unless God goes with us. So my thing to you is this: if you're going through a storm, if you're going through something in your life and you just don't know, praise him in the storm. If you're going through something and you it's like, God, you call Tony home. And we're in uncharted territories. We don't know what we're going to do, but we know what you're going to do. We know that you're going to walk beside us. We know that you're going to take care of us. And we know that as long as you're with us, nothing else can happen without you allowing it. When you are going through your storm, keep your faith, keep your eyes on him, keep your faith in him. Be like Peter when he first got out of the boat and say, "I'm in the middle of a storm, but I trust that you're going with me." When Daniel was going into the lion's den, I'm sure he was scared. I'm sure that he was afraid. But he went to the lion's den because he refused to bow down to an altar. He refused to worship anybody but God. And so he knew that he worshiped God and he loved God. And he knew what the Bible tells him in the Old Testament. I will never leave you nor forsake you. He knew that, but he had to keep his faith in him. And so when he went to the lion's den, and those lions were ready to devour him, he took the meanest, fattest lion and made him a pillow. The Bible tells us in Daniel that when the King Nebuchadnezzar looked into, was it Nebuchadnezzar? I think it's Nebuchadnezzar. When he looked into the den of lions, he saw Daniel panting the lion. When Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego were thrown in the fiery furnace, the king ordered it so hot that guards were dying, putting them into the fire. He looked at how many people you throw in there? They said 3. He said, why am I counting 4? God, my friends, God is there. Christ is there when we're going through our storm. Praise him. When you're going through your storm, worship him. Just like when Peter stepped out of that boat, he stepped into the storm. He stepped to the storm, but he stepped into the eyes of Christ, into the faith he gave. Love you. Man, I tell you, we love you. Not because of who you are, but because of what you are. See, the Bible tells us to love our neighbor as ourselves. Love each other like Christ. So we love you. It says we appreciate you because without you, we wouldn't have what we have. We wouldn't be able to do this. We wouldn't have anybody to do it for. We still do it, but we had nobody. We'd be looking stupid just talking to ourselves. So we love you. We appreciate you. But more important, like a song from, and it's my song called Scars from I Am They. We.
Thank you, Lord, for your scars, because your scars give mine a meaning. God bless.